there's a whole era, Joe, of Leinster players who, apart from going to the odd All-Ireland, have never been in Croke Park for a rugby match either.
It's very admirable in some respects, but it just if I was Phil Dowson, I would have thought we don't need to go anywhere near that at all. I don't know. Were you expecting all that?
Maybe not. I was surprised, I guess, that they were the first English club side. That had probably washed over me, and Phil Dowson, I think, said that in his press conference earlier this week. But I think it's more of a respect thing than anything else. I don't know if they're going to be using this as a hugely motivating factor, and if they are going to be kind of overawed by the sense of history of the place. But I think it shows a respect to Ireland, it shows a respect to the stadium. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and of course they're going to try and tap into it. It helps that they have an Irish S&C coach who apparently doesn't really do much speaking in meetings, and you touched on Finn Smith's comments there, Joe, and he was the one who was delivering that speech. So if you have someone inside the camp who has a good, firm understanding of it, why not try and tap into that? I mean, this is the kind of week where you're looking for any sort of extra edge that you can get, and Northampton are certainly coming over here as underdogs. But personally, I wouldn't think they'll be like, is Finn Smith going to be running out in Croke Park like thinking about Bloody Sunday or anything like that? Maybe not, but I think there's a respect there, and that's pretty admirable. And in fairness, Northampton are a pretty respectful club as well, so it's probably just a sign of that. I don't think it will be a major factor.
No, possibly not. And to be fair, devil in the detail here, this could have been delivered in one of two ways. I suppose the way I'd be somewhat hesitant about would be it was a really dark thing that happened, and you guys need to be really aware of the post-colonial issues here are it's not good, and maybe there's a sense of darkness about the whole thing. If it's delivered in a, you need to be prepared for the atmosphere of all atmospheres, here's a little brief reason-ish why, and let's get ready for it, then that is different, to be fair. And I suspect they probably did do the latter.
They did it early in the week as well, so it's not like they got it out of the way early by the sounds of it. And also they came out with this in the press, so it was something that they wanted to put forward as well. Again, I think that goes back to their respecting. But like Northampton, are going to be and will never have been in Croke Park before, but there's a whole era, Joe, of Leinster players who, apart from going to the odd All-Ireland, have never been in Croke Park for a rugby match either. Like I was at the Leinster press conference the other day chatting to Ross Byrne. He wasn't there in 2009 for the famous Leinster-Munster game. There's a lot of guys, when you look at their age profile, in that same boat. So the first time that they're going to experience Croke Park from down on the pitch is going to be at Friday's captain's run. So it's going to be alien to them as well. And of course, they're fully aware of the history of the place, and like I said, most of them, I would say, have been at All-Ireland finals and whatnot, but playing there is very different as well, and that is going to pose different kind of challenges too.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, just on that, Joe, I think that's a really valid point. Like, there would be, the odd player, I know, like a Danny Kerr who's 37 who would have played for it, but you've got a whole generation of English rugby players who would never have played in Croke Park, and for Croke Park Croke Park as a stadium wouldn't have really been on their radar at all. And this is a young Northampton squad, so I think as much as anything, it's Phil Dowson and the setup, just preparing them, because Croke Park has a bit of mystique over here. It's known as a famous stadium where they played a little bit of rugby. It's got, for a lot of people under a certain age, they would go, it's got some kind of historical significance. It's really, poignant to Irish people, but I'm not quite sure why. So I think as much as anything, Phil Dowson is going to these guys in their early 20s, of which Finn Smith is one, and just giving them as much information as possible. I doubt it was a 3-hour, everyone looking at the floor and, really, it's making it overly dark, as you say. I think it would be a case of, look, this is why it's an important historical, cultural, significant ground. This is why it's different. This is why it's going to be different to the Aviva. This is why 80,000 are going. This is what it means to Irish people. This is what you're going to get. Add to that, they'll probably then spend the rest of the week prepping Leinster. Do that on the Monday, just so the players know what's coming. Whether they can prepare for it, whether regardless of the stadium, they've got what it takes to beat Leinster, that's a whole other question. But I think it's just giving them some information so they're armed with as so they know what to some extent what's coming, and it doesn't just hit them when they arrive on Saturday evening.